Hi guys, welcome back to another quick Photoshop tutorial. My name is Manny and welcome to this video post. In today's video post I want to show you guys a quick technique how I get some vignetting. Obviously you do get some plugins for that already, but I want to show you guys the old traditional method of how to do your own vignetting. Because what I like about it, you can always just manipulate your vignetting a little bit and tweak it the way you like to have it. Okay, so let's get started with it. First of all, as you guys can see, I've got this cowboy shot here, and on here I want to create a little bit of a vignette and then show you guys how I will tweak that vignette a little bit. Alright, so first of all, I do have my smart object here again. What I want to do is press Command J, just duplicate that layer again, and right click rasterize, so we have not a smart object. Just work really normal on that and just have it as a, say, retouch layer or whatever. Okay, call it retouch layer, and we're going to Photoshop on that. Okay, next step that I'm going to do to create my vignetting, actually I'm going to go to my marking tool over here and select my elliptical marking tool. Okay, select that, and now I want to just create a normal vignette, so we have the outside darkened a little bit and the center quite bright. So what I'll do is just select an area over here, move my mouse over here and just select a nice area around here, and I want to pretty much vignette all of that and have him in the center still with some nice highlights. Okay, so what I'm going to do is keep the selection like that, and now we're going to feather our selection. So first of all, I'm going to go to select, modify, and feather that. Okay, press that, and we're going to feather it at a radius of 250 pixels. Say OK. So now we feathered it a little bit. It has scaled down a little bit our selection, but it's not feathered good enough yet. So what I'm going to go back again to select, and again to modify, and again to feather, and feather it again with another 250 pixels. Say OK again, and now it will be feathered really nice. So now what I'm going to do is go over here to my adjustment layers and select an adjustment layer. So now, as you guys can see, we have a new adjustment layer with a nice mask and a really nice feathered inside highlighted selection. And so now I'm able to actually take the selection and move my levels here to the left or right, and you can see how the center darkens or how we can brighten that area. But we said we want to darken the outside. Yes, so I'm going to say again, put this just to 0, so we're back to normal. Now what I'm going to do is just press Command J to duplicate that layer, and now what I'm going to do is invert that layer, so we'll select the outside. So press Command E, invert that, and as you guys can see, our whole mask looks different now. So I'm going to blend off this mask or this adjustment layer over here, and our second level, I'm going to take that levels now down a little bit, and as you guys can see, now we're darkening the background completely, or just our nice vignette over here. And say for instance you wanted to have the person a little bit brighter, you can still switch on your other levels over here, your other adjustment layer, and just brighten that areas a little bit in his face. It's not suiting the image at all, but just to show you guys, you can also tweak the highlights a little bit and also the dark parts a little bit. Then one technique I also wanted to show you guys on this whole process is what's so nice about this homemade vignette. You can actually select your mask over here, press B for your brush, and then you can already paint in here again. But now we're painting with 100 opacity. I'm just going to press Command Z to go a step back. And also before I go on, you always have to feather your brush completely for this. So I'm going to press Command Control Alt together, and over here just feather my brush completely, because if your brush isn't feathered, it will obviously won't look nice at all, and you will just have this weird effect. So press Command 0 again to get rid of that. Control Alt, feather your brush completely, and now what you can do is obviously darken the area, but we don't want to overtake that at 100 opacity. So what I'll say is just 20 opacity, just 20% opacity, and now you can brush really carefully over your areas that you want to darken. So you can actually use this kind of a dodge and burn technique. You can brighten areas, darken areas, and just create your own homemade vignette where you just darkening the areas you want it to darken and brighten the areas you want to brighten. So say for instance I want to darken this, but I don't want to have it completely darkened like over here, so I'm going to just switch my foreground colors and just brighten these areas a little bit again, so we have some texture in there until it's looking good. Okay, and also the water down here, don't want it to be that dark. Okay, over here a little bit more, like it like that. Then I want the stones to be a bit darker, so what I'll do is just darken the stones over here a little bit underneath of him. And obviously we can still fix those things also with the double raw conversion, which I showed you guys in the technique some tutorials before. I'm just going to switch again back here. I don't want it to have it so dark on the mountain again. Okay, and paint over here. It's like painting actually on an image. You're just darkening and brightening in areas again. Okay, over there. And we want to darken the sky a little bit more over here. So we're just going to darken that, have it nice and blue around him. Okay. Here, so that was just on our darkening layer. So we already fixed that a little bit. But I can see that we actually on the person it's completely dark. So what I'll do is press 00 to get into 100 opacity again. And again with a black foreground color, I'm just going to paint out the person a little bit. So we're getting all the details back there under his hat and also at the top. Okay, that was a bit too much already. Okay, over here, and we're just painting back the person. Okay, like that, that's good enough. And then I'm just going to go back into switch my foreground colors again, take my opacity down a little bit, darken around the head, around the head. And now we're going to go back to our second layer, which is actually obviously our brightening layer. And I'm going to brighten a little bit again. Just take these levels up a little bit. Just watch out, your image turns to get a little bit dull sometimes, so be careful with that. And over here I'm also going to do exactly the same effect again. Take your brush, and I'm just going to, with a 100 opacity, 00 there, I'm going to paint out the person a little bit. I don't want to darken all these areas over here. Okay, paint the person back, but I would like to have his face actually a little bit brighter. So take it to say 50%, your brush, and we're just going to paint in a little bit of that contrast again. So that is actually my homemade vignette until so far. You can take both of these layers again, press Command G, put them in a group, and just write there, I don't know, whatever you like to for vignette. Okay. Then if I'm going to zoom out a little bit again, you'll see that is our before and our after, before and after, before and after, where we just vignetted it a little bit. It is very saturated now, so I would most probably do another adjustment layer just to desaturate that a little bit, and obviously go on with my whole image from there on. But just to show you guys the quick technique that I use for my vignetting stage. One last technique that I actually use in my vignetting most of the time when you actually have a little bit of vignetting. Let me just zoom in here. It tends to create these rings through vignetting. So let me just check over here. If I'm going to take it all the way up, you will see it a little bit over here. You start to get these ugly rings that we don't really want. So I have another technique on top of your whole layer here, your adjustment layer. What you can do is go to filter, and then you can go to noise and just add noise, and you'll say around 1 to 2 or 3%. Just play a little bit with your image. You say add that, and your rings are disappearing. So that's a nice technique you can actually use. Okay, we took our levels all the way up now, so don't worry about that. That is actually a nice technique that you can also apply on top of that to just get away of all these rings. So I hope you guys learned something from this quick tutorial. My name is Manny. Thank you guys for watching.